Kathy retired, and 2 days later, she moved to Cascais in Portugal. So was that shocking, or how did she adapt? What's the weather like? What's the cost of living? What are some things that surprised her? I'm Kalie with Expats Everywhere. Let's talk to Kathy. Well, Kathy, you retired and 2 days later moved to Portugal. So some people might think that that's shocking. Was it shocking to you?
No, it just seemed the next natural step. I mean, how many times do you say goodbye to people, have gatherings? At one point, you just need to pull the trigger and go. And I was ready for the change and the adventure.
Okay, so let's back up and unpack the move to, and then we'll talk about where you landed and why you landed here.
Okay.
So how long had you researched before knowing that you wanted to move to Portugal?
It was probably about a month.
Okay.
And it was just, it was during COVID, as so many people, when they were making life-changing choices. And I just said, you know what, I have time. I'm not spending time with family, friends, or anything right now. So why don't I figure my 5-year, 10-year plan, something to that nature? And I was coming to the point where I knew retirement would be in 5 to 10 years. So I started thinking, where do I want to retire? And I'm from California, so I thought to myself, let's look at the places you want to live in California. And I went, oh no, I can't do that.
Yeah. Okay.
I just couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't afford it.
Okay.
So then I was thinking, let's look at other states. And about halfway through that, I thought to myself, why am I limiting myself to the U.S.?
Yeah.
And so then I started thinking of different continents and came to thought Europe, okay, that sounds good. And then where have I heard in the past that people have moved to in Europe? And back in the early 80s, I think, Portugal had a little blip on the radar.
All right.
And so I kind of remembered that and had never really thought of it before. And I said, well, okay, I'll look at Portugal. What's up with that? And it was really hard to find out information in the U.S. I think people in Europe knew about it, but in the U.S. I was having a hard time. So I went on, first went on the internet, really nothing. It just was vacation.
Okay. Yeah.
Or maybe the golden visa.
Uh-huh.
And then I went on YouTube, found you guys.
Okay.
Thank goodness. and kind of realized I not only wanted to retire in Portugal and it rang all the bells, but I could retire a little earlier.
Okay, so not only was it doable, but it could be a bit fast-tracked because just of cost of living and financials, everything lined up?
Right, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe when you're thinking 5, 10 years, now you could back it up a little bit.
That was like 2.5 years.
Okay, nice. So you had about a 2.5 year plan. And so you plotted things out because you came in on the D7, right?
Yes.
All right, and we'll talk about that experience. And so you came in on the D7 and you came also for a scouting trip before.
Yes.
Right? Okay,
yes.
so you thought it was Portugal.
Yes.
And then you came to visit.
Yeah.
And what was the visit like when you came? It solidified stuff?
Yes. Initially I thought I wanted to live in the city and either Lisbon or Porto. To me, before coming here, I thought I lived in both the Bay Area, San Francisco area, and Los Angeles area in California. So I thought Lisbon's probably like Los Angeles, Porto's probably like San Francisco. And it's a long distance. You're just dreaming up thoughts. And so I thought, hey, it'd be really cool to live in the city. I've never, other than for a couple months in San Francisco, never been a full-on city girl. So, and I've suburbs, yes, but not city.
Right. Okay.
So I went to Lisbon and realized, and it was so I went right when they opened up the country for visitors again. And even with that, and the streets were pretty empty. I have pictures of Lisbon that people can't believe how empty it was during the day.
Yeah.
And it still was loud.
Okay, too loud for you.
Too loud for me. You close the windows, it's quiet, but I didn't want to be where I'd always have my windows closed.
Right.
If I was listening to music, I didn't want the whole neighborhood to hear it. So I kind of realized quickly, although I love Lisbon, that wasn't going to be it. And then did some day trips. Well, I'll talk about Porto first.
Okay.
So then went to Coimbra And that was cute little town, but
Not for you.
not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Porto, I really liked Porto, and I may have considered that, but because I heard that it gets really cold inside there in the winter, and I just thought, I did that in Northern California. I've lived that, and I don't know that I want to do that again.
Yeah.
So
valid.
Yeah. So I just so now I'm going back to Lisbon on one of the day trips, and I went through Cascais, and just kind of that,
Okay.
It just like felt like it might be the place. And I said, it looks like there's things to do and enough variety, but close to Lisbon.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So you've landed in Cascais, and we'll talk about things to do and how you've adapted since you've been here for 4 months. So we'll get to that. But first, let's talk about the visa process. So you decided to do the D7, but you were still working.
Yes.
But you were going to submit your retirement stuff.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff did you submit? Who did you go through? How was that experience?
Okay. So for the D7, I did it on my own, and I used the American and Friends Facebook page, which had a lot of files to help out. Mm-hmm. And with that, when I filled out the form, even though I was still working, I put retired because I had kind of read some different things where if you're going to be retired when you move, put retired. Mm-hmm. Don't make it too complicated, because then there's confusion and things get held up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I just
good advice. Yeah.
It's like, keep it as simple as possible. Mm-hmm. Just kind of think, what am I going to be? What's my situation when I move there? That's what I did, and I also wasn't going to take my Social Security right away, and I have a pension too, and I decided not to take my pension right away. So all I did was submit, and not notarized or anything, just submitted the Social Security statement, which states what you're going to make, mm-hmm. and then my pension, which stated what I would make.
Okay. And so just proof, but not actually drawing off of it yet.
Right.
And there were no problems with that.
Yeah, and no problems. And I think there's often a lot of confusion about that. Mm-hmm. And I was going through the San Francisco VHS office, which sounds like it's one of the hardest ones.
It is.
So everything went smoothly. And what others? As long as you have all your paperwork and...
Yeah. And then it's not so bad.
Right.
Okay, but that's good advice for people who want to retire and move, that you don't necessarily have to be drawing off of it for a few months or something before. Right. You can just have proof of it.
Or a few years even.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So just proof of that. Mm-hmm. So you went to your appointment, and then do you remember about how long you waited from your appointment time to getting approval?
I think it was 5 weeks, because it was getting really close to the point where I was going to be jumping on a plane.
Okay, yeah.
And... I think it arrived about 2 weeks before I was going. So
okay, so you had your plane ticket already. You mm-hmm. retired. 2 days later, you're off, mm-hmm. and you knew you wanted Cascais, so mm-hmm. you landed here, and this is where you've been so far.
Right.
And how has the experience been so far?
So just to go back a little bit, so I thought that I wanted to go to Cascais, but I wanted to be here and not, sign a 3-year lease agreement and things, those type of things that a lot of people have to do. Mm-hmm. So I used Lusitano Dreams, which...
how's that been?
It's been great. Yeah. I mean, everything was here. It's a really good setup. You get the 1-year lease that you need to show to the VHS. Everything's here. I just brought clothes, pretty much.
Great, yeah. So it's a soft landing. You have a place to stay. Everything is set up. You don't have to mess with utilities or setting up Wi-Fi or anything. And then you get here, you land in this place, and then you can start looking for where you actually want to live. And how was that search? Like after, being here in person was much easier, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And in fact, I was able to look at a lot of apartments, take my time. I could start looking early to see what was out there, have a better idea of the market pricing, because it can be all over the place.
Yeah.
And realize that you can make offers for lower prices than what it states.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And I highly recommend that, especially when with the high rents, mm-hmm. because of course they're going to try.
Yes.
Who wouldn't?
Right. Yeah. Anywhere in the world would be like that, right?
Yeah,
You try.
yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
negotiate.
Negotiate, absolutely. Negotiate, whatever it takes to negotiate.
But it was a lot more of a comfortable
Oh, yeah.
housing situation. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get stressed about the housing part because they have to sign like a 1-year lease, or maybe they can't
Right.
find it from abroad. You know, they're back in the home country and they're like, oh, and now they're asking for 2 or 3 years, and you don't want to get locked into that.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you use a service like Lusitano Dreams, then you can
Absolutely.
get here, land easily, and then take your time.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Yeah.
And then you don't get into a situation where maybe you're overpaying because you just need something, right?
Right.
You were able to negotiate or be like, I'm walking away from this.
Yeah.
And if they come back, they come back. Or
Yeah.
Okay, so you highly recommend.
Yeah, I'm just going to state I'm single. I don't have any animals.
Yeah.
They were pretty happy. They were happy to have someone like me rent a place because you're going to be easier on the place.
Yeah, easy, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so then you are here in Cascais, and you've been here for several months now. You're getting ready to move to a new place. What kinds of things do you do around here? Are you happy with the fact that this is what you chose?
Yes, I'm very happy.
Okay.
There's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of groups, especially for someone in my age, to join up. And there's a lot of meetups, and you meet people right away. To the extent where I thought I was going to be the first few months running around Portugal, exploring all over the place.
Yeah.
And immediately started making friends and got involved in the social life. And I have not traveled hardly at all. I really haven't traveled other than a couple day trips.
Okay.
So
not yet.
And then
right?
Yeah, right. And then also I was taking Portuguese lessons, so that made it hard to travel.
Okay. So you started taking Portuguese lessons right away.
Yes.
And what was your thought process there? Like, why did you do that right away?
My thought process was that I'm naturally a procrastinator.
Okay.
So I have all my life fighting that. And I also saw people that hadn't taken lessons right away, and they hadn't taken, and it's 3 or 4 years, 5 years later, and they say, oh, well, I need to do that.
Yeah.
And I feel that I'm living here in Portugal, and I should have the respect to try to learn the language.
Do you need it in Cascais, or do a lot of people speak English?
A lot of people speak English, but a lot of people are very happy when you try to speak Portuguese. It makes them feel respected, I think.
Oh, good. Right.
Yeah.
So how long had you been here when you started classes?
Oh, about a week. And that was, that was a little too soon. I would say maybe wait 2 to 4 weeks before doing that.
Yeah, because you still want to settle and maybe even get over jet lag still. Just kind of, I don't know, just understand what's around your apartment and get your bearings.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a little too quickly. And it's so funny when you first move to this country, the little things trip you up. And I don't mean the stones.
Those two, right?
Doors like open the opposite way than what you naturally want to do, and what you're used to. And even in the street, you're crossing the street and there's these little points, and you're thinking the cars are going to go toward the point, but they're going opposite the point. Like all this stuff that's your mind's trying to capture. Trying to learn the language too is just too much. Yeah,
like all this going on, and then you're like dumping that in.
Yeah, and you don't think that would really bother you. You just say, well, I adapt quickly, but it's amazing how you don't.
Okay, so maybe give it a few weeks before actually starting the lessons would be better.
Yes.
Okay, so then have you found that there's been quite a variety as far as cuisines and nationalities around Cascais?
Yes.
Have you been able to meet Portuguese people?
Yes, but it seems oftentimes more Brazilians than Portuguese. And I think that's just because services are often seem to be handled by Brazilians here. But there's also, Portuguese people too.
Right. Does it get too busy with tourists? I mean, a lot of people want to come and visit Cascais. Do you like sometimes is it too transient, like too many people here?
Actually, there's less than I expected.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it'd be just wall-to-wall people, and it's not. Like in the area I'm at, if you're outside a little, and it's maybe a half mile outside of the center, you're not going to have a lot of people.
Okay. It's quite a different feel, right?
It
From like the
is.
center area, which
Yes.
that's where mainly all the people are and then where the
Yes.
beaches and stuff
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
But then you just get just a little bit outside,
Right,
not that
right.
much. And
Yeah.
it feels a bit more like livable, right?
Right, right. Like here where I'm at right now, it's a 15-minute walk to the beach, not through the center, but to Casa de Guia. And
Okay.
yeah.
And do you need a car being on the outer part, or
No,
you can walk?
you can walk. And also in Cascais, they have, once you're a resident, you can get the Viva Cascais card, which allows you to ride the bus for free.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing. So
yeah,
you just
yeah.
so how do you get that?
You just go to the Loja office for Cascais, and they'll point you to the right booth, and
Okay.
you give them all the paperwork.
Just
and-
show that you're a resident.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
have to have your residency card to get
Well,
that? or-
no. So I still don't have my residency card, and I
Okay.
haven't. And my appointment got moved.
Okay, ooh, we'll
Yeah,
talk about that in
yeah.
a second. Okay, so you didn't have to have the residency card, but just had proof of like your contract here that you
Yeah,
have a
I had
lease?
proof of my contract, and then they had me go to a different office because
course.
it's never just one step. But it wasn't that hard. It was just 200 meters away
Yeah,
or
but
something, and
sometimes
then
it seems kind of
get something
inefficient.
notarized,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then came back. and
Okay, they
got
do.
the card.
Yeah, they're not the most efficient, and they do love getting things notarized.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, if I had a residency card, perhaps it would have been different.
Easier, yeah, maybe because you had to get the lease notarized or something.
They just typed up a paper. And,
Okay.
yeah,
But that gives you the free rides on the bus.
yes,
Which
yeah,
is a really nice
Yeah, and
perk.
a lot of museums and for free. I mean, there's other things too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good to know for those who want to live here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you don't have your residency card yet. You've been here for about 4 months,
Mm-hmm.
and you were supposed to have your appointment, but it got moved. Tell
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
this is actually happening a lot, and it's a big fear for people.
Right.
So tell us what happened here.
Okay, so my appointment was the end of July, and I did have a lawyer with me for that appointment, but that was only because when I was getting ready to come, they had all the changes with the NHR. So I wanted to make sure because I had all the stuff that beforehand, but I wanted to make sure because they kept changing the rules
Yeah,
that
makes
someone
sense.
was representing me. And then it just included a visit to that. And thank goodness, because the lawyer came out and said, okay, they can't see you today. And I said,
Were you
I have to go back and get your passport. I said, when you get my passport, please make sure they give you an appointment, insist on getting an appointment.
Yeah.
Because I understand that's the tough part. If you don't have an appointment,
Getting one, just getting one, yeah.
an appointment is
Right.
tough. So I'm just happy because
So they gave him one.
they gave him one. Yeah,
Okay.
it's 45 minutes away because I was very lucky. I had an appointment in Cascais.
Okay, so it was the office here that told you.
Yeah.
And did they give a reason why they couldn't see you?
Yeah, they said there was a large group of immigrants before me, and I don't know, if there was, exactly why, but
What time of day was your appointment?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay,
10
because some people are saying it's just in the afternoon is the problem.
Yeah.
Um,
And also there was only 2 people there.
Okay.
So a lot of people have said, why would they give you appointments? And this was the end of July, so vacations probably were starting.
Yes.
And I just said, when they gave me the appointment back in March, it probably wasn't, no one had put in for vacation. They probably didn't know there was only
Yeah.
going to be 2 people.
Mhm.
So, that could happen anywhere.
Right.
And that's what you can't, you have to just go with the flow and be happy with what you get. I got an appointment. I am happy.
When is your appointment for?
End of September.
Okay, so it's not too bad.
Right.
Obviously, because August is like
Right.
a wash. Right?
Yeah.
So-
That, I know. I'm just like, please don't be in August. Please don't be in August.
You'll definitely get
Yeah.
again a new appointment
Yeah.
after that. Okay, so end of September.
Mhm.
But that's good. You just go with the flow. You can't let it stress you out. You just have to.
You do.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
right?
you do. And it's just, things aren't going to be the same as they were in whatever country you come from.
Mhm.
It's always going to be different. And that's part of what you're embracing with the move is
Yep.
the difference.
So true.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, and then is your new appointment in Cascais as well?
No.
You said 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
It's in Lisbon, or
No, it's in some town
small.
that I don't know,
okay, so
which might be good.
maybe yeah.
And it's not I think there's a water park there or something, and that's the only attraction that I could see there. So I went, okay, this might be good.
Right. And your lawyer's going to go with you
Yeah.
to that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's good. So hopefully
So if it gets moved again, then
yeah, he'll be there to help.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're kind of just, well, you haven't even traveled much around Portugal because some
Right.
people are worried that, "Oh, I don't have that residency card. I can't actually leave Portugal." But I mean, you are just settling here
Yeah.
and meeting people, and you haven't even thought about it yet. So it's not
Yeah.
not that big of a deal.
no, I'm ready to travel around Portugal.
Okay.
Probably in September,
Okay.
October. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm at the age where I'm retired. I can go whenever I want.
Yeah,
You know, I
that's
don't-
really nice.
yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are worried that Cascais is really expensive, Lisbon, Cascais area. So what would you think is a good budget, a monthly budget for someone to have?
If you want to go out a lot and do things, and now this is, gosh, it depends on I'm going to say it without rent,
Mhm.
because that depends on, do you want a T1, T2, T3?
Right.
What area do you want to be in?
Mhm.
I would say, and this is a big range, but 2,000 to 3,000 a month.
Okay. And that's without rent.
Yeah,
So
maybe 2,000
2,000
without rent.
Without rent. And then
Now
is it,
you could do it on 1,000.
okay. But maybe you're not going out as much.
Right, and getting services done and just
Right.
And this is my first 4 months, so it's a little off because I'm getting some things that I didn't get, that I didn't bring with me.
Right. Okay.
So
a little
that's a
inflated
little,
maybe right now.
yeah.
And then what would be a good range for housing for someone? Like if you're just looking for like a T1, maybe T2, different areas, what's a good
Right.
range?
I would say 1,700
Okay.
to 25,
Okay.
depending again
Sure.
where you're
Where
at.
it is,
Yeah.
amenities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So does it ever get boring, or are you always finding things to do to where, and you've met people so you are happy?
I'm happy. I'm not someone who gets bored easily anyway.
Okay.
I'm having more the challenge of finding time to be by myself.
Okay. So there's a lot going on.
There's a lot, there's enough that, and I like sometimes just having some downtime.
Mm-hmm.
Just my me time.
Yeah, reset and everything.
Yeah.
Have you had people come visit you from either the States or?
Yes, yeah. A couple friends have visited. My niece and her family are going to be arriving tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not staying with me, but visiting Cascais. And,
Fun.
yeah,
Good.
and that, yeah.
And a lot of people talk about how the weather's amazing here. Would you say it's amazing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
There's a lot more wind than people realize, but we're by the sea, and I kind of like it.
Okay. And if someone is not a beach person, would you say that Cascais is like out, or you can be not a beach person and still enjoy things here?
You can not be. I'm not a beach person.
Okay, yeah, see, look at you. Okay, so you don't like going to the beach, but you still, that doesn't matter.
Right,
There's still
right.
a lot of other things.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Okay, so it's not just the beach.
No, there's lots to do. You do want to like to eat.
Okay, like to eat and drink, eat and drink.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Portugal.
this isn't a PG. Yeah, and drink.
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
lots to eat and drink.
Yeah, and it's a lot of varieties. I can't think of a food that I couldn't find. Now, it may not be the type that you had in your country. So if you have Indian food, it may not be the same, but it'll be similar enough and sometimes better.
Okay, yeah. So worth a try.
Yeah,
Definitely.
worth a try.
Give it a go.
Everything, give a go, yeah.
Okay. Well, at Expats Everywhere, we believe that living abroad transforms lives. So how has living abroad transformed your life?
Being more open, I think, to things and saying, one thing what I try to do is, if someone says, let's do something, it's just to say yes.
Okay.
And that, before, when I was working in the U.S. so part of this is not just a change to moving somewhere else, but a change because I'm retired and I'm living in a different country.
Yeah.
But just, always say yes. I don't have to worry about getting up to work the next day, or that there's a big meeting coming up.
Yeah, of course. So you can just say yes and go with it.
Just say yes.
But when you say yes, it just opens up more things.
Does,
You meet
exactly.
new people, and so you just try
Yeah.
new things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Kathy, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
if you all want to see Josh and I in Cascais in 2021, years ago, you can check out this video here. But then we're also going to do a comparison to see what has changed. So you can check out that video if it's ready right here. Now, let's get moving.